Hey, it's a dark episode for February the 17th, 2023. I just watched a video where someone was talking about it's book time with Elvis. Let's give it credit, proper credit. Was talking about the legacy of YouTube, and the idea that the the idea that the videos that we make are a record of our existence on this planet, and that they might actually stay around for a long, long time, and might be, for generations upon generations upon generations after us, might be the record that people would look back on and get some idea of how we lived, what we thought, who we were as a general people and individuals. Um, and that's an interesting thought. Yeah, that is an interesting thought. That we'd have that kind of a record of our of how we existed. Um, you know, I'm reading a book at the moment about the 14th century, and you know they've got speculations, but just imagine they had actual documents of of people, of peasants, because that was one of the things that Barbara Tuchman in A Distant Mirror talks about. It's like we don't know sort of how peasants lived back then. We can draw inferences, we can make general things, but it's like specific peasants. It's like, how did they live? And there's some things that said that was like they lived like, they'd never bathed at all, or some other ones that's like, oh, they bathed all the time. And it's like, well, it's like using it as a whole, falling into a kind of a monolith thing. And wouldn't it be great if you had something where he's like, well, we know we have millions and billions of hours of people doing their lives and stuff like that. So that would be a nice thing. Um, the thing I think about is that this electronic records of our existence is is something that seems to be, to my mind, to be so fragile, to be a certain kind of, you have to have a certain kind of machine to be able to interpret all of this data, that the chances that it would survive, um, for future generations to actually be able to decode somehow, is a higher, like, it's like the Egyptian hieroglyphics. It's like, and the thing about Egyptian hieroglyphics, or Babylonian, um, all the pot shards where we get a lot of our information. That stuff, that it was like, it was baked. It's crystallized. It is tough materials, and some of that, a fragment of that, has survived. But the idea that something like what we do in a video would survive even 50, 100 years. Hey, sure, come here, is insane. Is I mean, you talk to somebody who is a sure, someone who talk to anyone who is an archivist, and it's like how you're gonna get any of that. Um, they talk about racing against time to transfer stuff on magnetic tape, much less all these electronic ones and zeros. Um, it's just like, and that's not even getting into the whole thing of, all these videos are stored on a corporation's servers which are not inexpensive to run. It's like, it's not something that is going to, it's not going to survive. I mean, I think part of the comfort I take is like, this is like, there's like MySpace and other other things, GeoCities, and various things that, like, yeah, people spent, you know, hundreds and hundreds of hours on that stuff. It's pretty much poof by now. And that is stuff that is relatively, like, within the last 20 years and is gone. It's gone. It's nothing that anyone is ever going. The journals that I keep have a better chance. Writing them on paper probably have a better chance of survival. Which, now, and that is all to say, yes, I don't think there is a legacy for YouTube videos. And, hi, people from 5,000 years from now, if you're watching this or listening to this, there's spoiler. There's not actually a picture in this video. It's a dark episode. How you would, like, even if you decoded all this, there's a human being talking. The language itself may be completely foreign by that point. Is Canada still exist? And how many of us made it through the big pinch point? All that sort of stuff. It's like yeah, all that. But I'm not particularly upset about this one way or another. I view this as something that I am doing in the moment. I view this as process far less than I think of this as legacy. I mean, I don't delete my videos. Some people, I know one fellow who there's a lot of his videos he'll do, and then he'll leave them up for about a month or two, and then he'll just delete them. And that's like, that is one way to do things. And I mean, it's, in some ways, that's the more the honest, the more realistic way. Even if I leave my videos up until YouTube it goes poof, it's going to be the same thing, the same effect by the end. This is all process. This is all just me living, and also, you got to think, with the amount of space to save all of YouTube. No, there will be, if anything, there will be the ruthless hand of history again will happen. Whereas maybe there will be some archivists who will download key videos, what gets considered as important videos on YouTube, and those will get saved. But 99.9999% of the videos on this space will go poof, and it'll just be a little maybe not even representative, but a little sampling to give us, to maybe historians in the future will have a brief glimpse of what life was like in this tiny sliver of human existence. And they'll have to go to books and things like that to read about it, most likely, because they've got a fairly good record. But even that is not guarantee. History does its editing quite efficiently, and quite, maybe not fairly, maybe not, to create a fiction of what the past was, or a view of what the past was, a construct. Our history is something that is we construct, not something that simply is. That isn't to say it's false, but it is something that has to be consciously constructed through choice, through chance, through, what makes a good story. All right, I will leave it there, and poof.